Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about the Thanatos Helmets that have recently been released through Kachua. They are a little bit expensive, especially the fact that it's the same situation with the Biolab EDDA or ETA headgears that combo with the ETA weapons. It's double RNG. You basically have to try to pull the box from Kachua keys and also try to hope that you get the helmet that you want, one of the 4 helmets that you want from the box. So the regular helmets are level 1, and you can reform them to the LT versions, which is armor level 2. It actually gives you a little bit more of a boost in terms of damage, and these all combo with the Thanatus AD weapons. Also level 5 weapons from the regular Thanatus weapons from Ghost Palace. First, we are going to take a look at the Thanatus Warrior Helmet. Attack 4% per 3 refines. Plus 7 you get 10% attack speed. Plus 9 you get 10% melee physical damage. And at plus 11 you get 15% physical damage to all property monsters. With its reformed version, the Thanatus Warrior Helmet LT, you get attack 5% per 3 refines. Plus 7, 15% attack speed. Plus 9, you get 15% melee physical damage. And at plus 11, apart from the 15% physical damage to all property monsters, you also get an additional minus 0.2 second FCT reduction. Now, being a level 2 armor means that you can actually grade the Thanatus Warrior Helmet LT. So for grade D, you get 5% melee physical damage, and at grade C, you get POW plus 2 and P attack plus 2. Now moving on to the combos, for the Thanatus Warrior Helmet, combos with the Thanatus Greatsword AD for the Rune Knight, you get 10% physical damage to all sizes and 10% Windcutter damage per 2 refines. If you're using the LT version of the Warrior Helmet, comboing with the Thanatus Greatsword AD, you get 15% physical damage to all sizes and 12% Windcutter damage per 2 refines. Now another combo for the Thanatus Warrior Helmet is the Thanatus Axe AD. You get 10% physical damage to all race monsters and 10% Axe Tornado damage. I kind of wish that it actually does more, but it's fairly uniform in terms of the damage progression for the headgears between the regular ones and the LT version. Now for the LT version, comboing with the Thanatus Axe AD, 15% physical damage to all race monsters and 12% Axe Tornado damage. You'll see that it is it basically increases the first damage option, or the first line option, with additional 5%, and the skill option for additional 2% when it moves from the regular helmet to the LT version. Last combo for the Thanatus Warrior Helmet is the Thanatus Spear AD. You get 10% ACT reduction and 10% Hesperus lit damage per 2 refines. Now for the LT version, comboing with the Thanatus Spear AD, you get 15% ACD reduction and 12% Hesperus lit damage per 2 refines. Next helmet we're talking about is the Thanatus Shooter Helmet. Personally, it's something that I've been looking for like crazy just last week. You get 10% attack speed at plus 7, plus 9, 10% long range damage, and at plus 11 you get 15% physical damage to all property monsters. Now when it combos with the, it becomes reformed into the LT version, you get attack 5% per 3 refines, attack speed plus 15% at plus 7, long range damage plus 15% at plus 9, and apart from the 15% physical damage to all property monsters at plus 11, you also get minus 0.2 second FCT reduction, which is sort of uniform throughout the whole LT versions once it gets reformed. So yeah, no surprises there. The only difference really is the plus 7 and plus 9, which normally varies. And of course, being a level 2 armor, the Thanatus Shooter Helmet LT, when graded at grade D, you get 5% long range damage, and at grade C, you get POW +2 and P attack +2. Now with the Thanatos shooter helmet, it's probably one of the most sought after ones just because it's basically comboing with one of the main skills, one for Ranger and one for the geneticist jobs. Especially with the Thanatos Sword AD, you get 10% physical damage to all sizes and 10% card cannon damage per 2 refines. Now it gets better with the LT version because you get 15% physical damage to all sizes and 12% card cannon damage per 2 refines when comboing the shooter helmet LT with the Thanatos Sword AD. Next, my favorite, the only reason I was actually trying to get the Thanatos shooter helmet was because of the Thanatos bow. You could get 10% physical damage to all race monsters and 10% focused arrow strike damage per 2 refines, which really changes the meta in terms of focused arrow strike right now, especially especially at a level 5 weapon and possibly a level 2 headgear. It really increases damage exponentially. Now, when you reform it through the Thanatos shooter helmet LT, you get 15% physical damage to all race monsters and 12% focus arrow strike damage per 2 refines at +12. I believe that is 72%. Just in the combo itself. It doesn't include the bonuses for the Thanatos bow AD, so it really adds up. Next being a long-ranged headgear, so to speak. This combos with the Thanatos Violin AD and the Thanatos Whip Sword AD, who have the same stats anyway. For the Maestro and the Wanderer classes, you get long range damage plus 10% and severe rainstorm damage plus 10% per 2 refines. Now, if it's the Thanatos shooter helmet LT, you get 15% long range damage and 12% severe rainstorm damage per 2 refines. So you see how uniform it is. It changes from 10% to 15%, and for the first line, the second line from 10% to 12%, especially with the skill line. Next, the magic class. Thanatos magic helmet, M attack 4% per 3 refines. +7 you get 10% VCT reduction. +9 you get 10% all property magic damage. And at +11 you get 15% magic damage to all property monsters. Now the +9 and the +11 effect sounds similar, but +9 when it says all property magic damage, it's the property of the attack that you are doing. So let's say if it's Crimson Rock, which is a fire property, and the +11 one, which says magical damage to all property monsters, that pertains to the monster's property, whether it be earth, fire, wind, water, heart. So wind, water, whatever, and basically it pertains to the monsters that you're attacking, not the skill that you are using. That makes sense. Now, when you reform it to the LT version, you get 5% M attack per 3 refines. +7 you get 15% VCT reduction. +9, 15% all property magic damage, and +11, apart from the 15% magical damage to all property monsters, you get -0.2 second FCT reduction as well. And because it's level 5, it can be graded. At grade D, you get 5% all property magic damage, which is really good, better than what the physical classes are getting. And at grade C, you get SBL +2 and SM attack +2. Now, when the Thanatos Magic Helmet is comboed with the Thanatos Two-Handed Staff -AD for the Warlock class, you get 10% magical damage to all sizes and 10% Crimson Rock damage per 2 refines. Now, when reformed to the LT version, you get 15% magical damage to all sizes and 12% Crimson Rock damage per 2 refines. I kind of wish we had more cooldown reduction for the Thanatos with the Thanatos Two-Handed Staff, but yeah, it's kind of hard to justify at this point. Next, the Thanatos Magic Helmet with the Thanatos Staff AD, and this one is for the Sorcerers. 10% magical damage to all race monsters, and 10% damage for Varieteer Spear. I said variety. Varieteer Spear per 2 refines. And if it's the LT version, you got 15% magical damage to all race, and 12% Varieteer Spear damage per 2 refines. For 2 refines. I don't play Sorcerer, and yeah. Now, something surprising with the combo of the Thanatos Dagger AD is, it's for the Shadow Chaser class, but it's leaning more towards the Bolter side. I would have expected something more like Fatal Menace, but yeah, this is the direction that they're going. So you got 10% all property magic damage, which is really good, and 10% psychic wave damage per 2 refines. If it's the LT version, you get 15% all property magical damage and 12% psychic wave damage per 2 refines. What's interesting with this is that the Thanatos Dagger AD has the chance to, I think it's at +9 or +11. I'm not too sure. We'll have a separate video on that another day, but you can actually autocast Psychic Wave level 4 with the Thanatos Dagger AD, which is, definitely pretty good, especially for autocast or bolter enthusiasts out there. Last headgear we're going to talk about is the Thanatos Fighter Helmet. Attack plus 4% per 3 refines, +7 you get 10% attack speed, +9 10% melee physical damage, and +11 you get 50% physical damage to all property monsters. Kind of similar to the Thanatos Warrior Helmet, but it just has different combos with leaning more towards the other physical classes. Well, physical-ish classes. If it's reformed to become the Thanatos Fighter Helmet LT, you get attack 5% per 3 refines, 15% attack speed +7, 15% melee physical damage at +9, and +11. Apart from the 15% physical damage to all property monsters, you still get the 0.2 second FCT reduction. Now for grades, fairly the same as the warrior ones. Grade D, melee physical damage +5%. Grade C, POW +2, P attack +2. Now the Thanatos Fighter Helmet combos with the Thanatos Hammer AD. Physical and magical damage to all sizes +10%, and 10% duplicate damage per 2 refines. As you can see, it is leading more to the more between physical and magical side of the Archbishop. Duplicate, not a very popular build, but yeah, fairly easier to run compared to Adoramus, to be fair. Now, if it's the Thanatos Fighter Helmet LT with the Thanatos Hammer AD, you get 15% physical and magical damage to all sizes, and 12% duplicate damage per 2 refines. I'm not sure how worth it would be, but yeah, like I might actually try it if I can't get my hands on the Thanatos Fighter Helmet. Next, the Fighter Helmet combo with the Thanatos Knuckle AD, you get HP 10%, okay, and 10% Tiger Cannon damage per 2 refines. I kind of wish we had more cooldown reduction for the Thanatos Knuckle AD as well, just to make it a little bit more worthwhile, given that it's a level 5 weapon. Now, if it's the LT version, you get HP +5% and Tiger Cannon damage +2%. 12% per 2 refines. Last, kind of a shocker, the Thanatos Fighter Helmet with the Thanatos Guitar AD, you get 10% HCD reduction and 10% rolling cutter damage per 2 refines. If it's the LT version, you get 15% HCD reduction and 12% rolling cutter damage per 2 refines. I think rolling cutter right now is getting a lot more support compared to before, when we had the Meteor Assault or Cross Impact. It's really becoming a more viable build on a higher scale in terms of above level 200, it's becoming a little bit more effective, especially with a lot of more support. And so guys, that is it for the Thanatos Helmets. We've covered everything in terms of their combos and all the effects. And I have to say, the shooter is probably the most expensive. They're like running at 5 billion right now each. I personally have 2 of them, just because I need to test a couple of things. Yeah, they're not cheap, but who knows, they might be in time. We might see more, like, you know, the same thing that happened to the Biolab headgears when Virgo or like the Taurus crown or whatever diadem, sorry, were really expensive on first release, but you know, prices really went down as supply actually increased. It's sad that the box isn't included on the spending event, only the Helm of Faith ones. So we might see the prices, you know, maintain the same, the same status until such time that we find other options or another way to obtain them, or how would you say an easier way to obtain them actually happens. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I will have the Thanatus weapons, the videos on that coming next. I'm just not sure when they will be uploaded, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next time.